Chapter 27 to 28. In the rain, a fierce battle erupted. The attackers, either wearing masks or covering their faces with scarves, all hid their true identities. Their use of ninjutsu was disjointed, including water release, wind release, and weapon techniques. They had no mutual understanding, relying only on instinct to coordinate. Like Yuto, they also saw the bounty on Takeda Takeshi's head at the bounty station and were drawn by the huge reward to take on the assassination job. The land of Rain, plagued by civil war and divided among various factions, was far from united. The death of a jonin wouldn't cause a stir, making it a favored hunting ground for assassins. The killers aimed to eliminate Takeda swiftly. Although the Land of Rain was perpetually in turmoil, the newly risen Akatsuki organization was reputedly united. If the battle dragged on, reinforcements for Takeda would place the assassins in a dire situation. However, Takeda was formidable. He excelled in water release techniques, and his taijutsu was above standard. He wielded 2 chakra short swords that emitted a dazzling white light when swung, slicing through kunai effortlessly. The unique hum of the chakra short swords cutting through the rain could be heard as Takeda used the water body flicker technique to swiftly move behind one of the assassins. His blade slashed down, effortlessly slicing the enemy's body in half like cutting through butter. Bang! Takeda eliminated one opponent, but exposed his back in the process. Another assassin, seizing the opportunity, hardened his arm with rock and struck Takeda's spine, sending him flying into the wall of a steel building, denting the alloy. Yuto raised an eyebrow. He's as strong as a special jonin from Konoha. The key point to watch out for is those 2 chakra weapons. However, it seems Mr. Takeda won't last much longer. Observing the battlefield, Yuto noted that under the continuous assault, Takeda's injuries were mounting. Though he had taken down 2 more assassins, it was evident he couldn't hold out much longer. No choice but to intervene, Yuto thought, needing the money. He concentrated his chakra in his eyes, activating his Byakugan, and the gray-black translucent vision reappeared. Huh? Yuto frowned, pausing his movement. With his Byakugan, he saw a figure hidden underground. Screech! A loud friction sound was heard as an assassin blocked Takeda's chakra sword with a web-like substance. Despite its fragile appearance, it was extremely tough, withstanding the first wave of the chakra weapon's impact and then entwining around it, rendering it immobile. Ha ha ha! A head worth 30 million ryo! The assassin laughed, reversing his kunai to slit Takeda Takeshi's throat. Unexpectedly, just as he was about to decapitate his prize, searing pain shot through his leg. Wind release, wind cutter technique. A fine wind blade struck from below, destroying the muscles in the assassin's leg and severely damaging the bones. Splat! Takeda seized the opportunity, driving his chakra blade forward to easily slice the assassin's throat. A woman emerged from the ground, standing back-to-back with Takeda. "Kaoru, what are you doing here?" Takeda, having been rescued, was anxious. You're too chatty, Captain. Men are more attractive when they're silent." Humph. Takeda mumbled something and fell silent. In the rain, the slaughter resumed. Takeda Takeshi and Kaoru Asano's coordination was astonishing. Yuto observed that they needed no verbal communication or even eye contact to execute a perfect combination attack. The hastily assembled assassins were no match for the duo's seamless teamwork. After losing 3 more members, the assassins from the bounty station finally lost their resolve and fled using various escape techniques. Panting heavily, Takeda wiped the sweat and blood from his face, turning to say, "Kaoru, thank you for this, but you're still injured." "It's nothing." Kaoru's expression was cold, her words biting. "Captain, if you really want to die, you could just jump into the river yourself. At least that way, you'd leave a whole corpse." "Kaoru, you..." I didn't want to face 15 to 1, but I had to make sure all the civilians were safe before retreating. If you had escaped at the start, the assassins would have followed you. What if they didn't and started slaughtering the protesters to force me out? Huh. Kaoru shook her head, her tone indifferent. Your life is worth more than those civilians. They die, you live. That's the proper way of things. Kaoru. Takeda started to lecture earnestly. We Akatsuki were established for the greater good. The conflict between people stems from inadequate communication. As our leader says, we must become the bridge of the world. Their idle chat was interrupted by approaching footsteps. They turned, instantly standing ready, cold sweat dripping as they prepared for a new battle. A figure wearing tinted goggles and a thick black cloak emerged from the shadows. Veins bulged ominously around his eyes. Yuto walked towards them silently. He could see clearly that both opponents were as strong as special jonin, highly synchronized in their cooperation. Though they appeared to be idle chatting, they remained on alert. Cornered enemies would be difficult to handle. Thus, Yuto activated his Byakugan and pressed forward, intending to gain a psychological edge from the start. Kaoru Asano clasped her hands together, quietly gathering chakra to perform another technique. At that moment, Takeda spoke first. Byakugan. You're a Konoha shinobi. Yuto nodded slightly. Seeing an opportunity for dialogue, Takeda continued. I don't know why you're in the land of rain, nor do I know if your purpose is to kill me, but as a subordinate, I must convey my leader's will. My leader wants to find a Konoha shinobi. Yahiko? Seeking a Konoha shinobi? Yuto was startled. My leader says he wants to ask a favor of a Konoha shinobi. As a reassurance, you can choose the place and time. Takeda shrugged. He said that in a critical situation, this might save a life. Of course, that's if you're interested in our leader. So, what do you say? Unknown Hyuga, fight or parley? What is the greatest advantage of a transmigrator? Besides knowing the world's development trends, the most important thing is understanding the personalities of the main characters. Hypocrites, upright gentlemen conspirators, no matter how well they hide, they cannot escape the transmigrator's eyes. After all, they've read the original work. The world's development might change due to the transmigrator's involvement, but the main characters' personalities are hard to alter. Yuto knew very well what Yahiko, Konan, and Nagato were like inside. At least for now, these three are positive figures. Among them, Yahiko, as the founder and leader of the Akatsuki, can almost be seen as a young Naruto Uzumaki, passionate, valuing friendship, persistent about his dreams, resilient, and very naive. Yuto knew that meeting these three posed no danger. He glanced at the tense Takeda Takeshi and Kaoru Asano before him and smiled lightly. Do you know why I came to Amegakure and why I want to meet your leader? Takeda answered with undisguised pride. In recent years, no shinobi from other countries have come to Amegakure without being interested in our leader. Even assassins here to make money don't mind getting information about him. It's more valuable than a human head. He spoke openly and honestly. The Akatsuki, huh? All right, you've convinced me. The tension slowly faded, and Yuto took a few steps back, creating a safer distance. I'll give you your life back now. Takeda and Kaoru both sighed in relief. That distance was too close for a close combat expert like the Hyuga clan. It's great to solve problems without fighting, Takeda muttered, but after Kaoru discreetly pinched him, he said seriously, Friend from Konoha, where do you want to meet? We can leave a radio. That's not necessary. Yuto shrugged. I'll go with you directly, is that convenient? Takeda was stunned for a moment. Does this guy trust us so much? Not afraid of an ambush? Have we already achieved world peace? What? Is it inconvenient? Yuto asked. No, it's fine. Kaoru and I need to return to the base for treatment anyway. If you don't mind, come with us. Supporting each other, they walked into an alley, with Yuto leisurely following behind, looking more relaxed than the two in front. The buildings in Amegakure are very distinctive, tall and sharp steel structures, with narrow alleys flanked by straight metal walls. The narrow paths are used to create great psychological pressure. They weaved through the alleys and finally entered a large underground tunnel, walking for over 30 minutes. "Don't worry, Amegakure's underground complex is huge," Takeda explained kindly. "It's always rainy here, so the city's drainage system has to be the best in the world. It's been expanding for years, and even maintenance workers don't know all the hidden places." "Why do you hide underground?" Yuto was curious. He knew that at this time, the Akatsuki had a good relationship with Hanzo of the Salamander and wasn't targeted. "We're not really hiding," Takeda said nonchalantly. "Rent on the surface is too expensive." "Huh?" Yuto didn't understand for a moment. "As a shinobi from Konoha and a big clan, you wouldn't know the cost of everyday life." Takeda was very patient. "Ninja tools cost money, medical treatment costs money, training costs money, food costs money, and so do propaganda and combat. The Akatsuki is quite large now, and we need a lot of money. We can't afford to rent such a large place. Luckily, the village's underground structure is vast, very convenient, though it feels a bit like we're living as rats." Takeda suddenly groaned, falling silent. His subordinate had pinched him again. Yuto found the duo amusing, a straightforward captain and a cold, sharp-tongued subordinate. In modern terms, they had a strange chemistry. He thought this period of frugality left a deep impression on Conan and Nagato. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so desperate to exploit Kakuzu after turning dark, showing a pathological desire for money. As they spoke, they arrived at a steel gate. "This is the place. On the way, I sent a message to the leader. They're waiting inside." "They?" Yuto's tone and expression were like a professional actor's, showing just the right amount of surprise and curiosity. "Yes, officially, our Akatsuki has only one leader, but in truth, all three are worthy of our loyalty." Takeda pushed open the steel door, and he and Kaoru entered first, followed by Yuto without hesitation. Inside stood three young people. The leader had orange hair, a tall build, and a handsome face, looking like a forthright person. Next was a young woman with purple hair, very beautiful but with a cold expression, and a paper flower in her hair. The last was a red-haired guy with his head down, long bangs covering most of his face. One could only see his pale skin, nose, and lips. Yahiko, Conan, and Nagato. "So young they look only about 4 or 5 years older than me," Yuto thought, calmly observing them. "Leader." Takeda, supported by Kaoru, walked over to Yahiko and said, "This is the shinobi from Konoha. Yuto removed his dark goggles, revealing his pure white eyes. "I'm Yuto Hyuga." "Oh. A member of the Hyuga clan? This is my first time seeing these eyes up close." Yahiko smiled. "Thank you for trusting us. Even here in Amegakure, many shinobi refer to the Akatsuki as rats. Rats don't protect civilians. I've seen Takeshi-san's actions. He's a responsible and brave shinobi," Yuto said with a small smile. "Ha ha ha ha. Takeda laughed foolishly, once again receiving a harsh pinch from his subordinate. After inspecting Takeda and Kaoru's injuries, Yahiko sent them for treatment. In the large steel room, only the Amegakure trio and Yuto remained. When interacting with outsiders, Yahiko usually took the lead. He cleared his throat and smiled. "Yuto Hyuga. I know you, a genius of the Hyuga branch family, the Hyuga's jewel, and a disciple of Konoha's Tsunadeheim." Yuto's expression remained calm. It had been 3 months since he apprenticed under Tsunade. If the Akatsuki didn't know this information by now, it would mean Conan was utterly useless, doing nothing but wasting resources. I didn't expect Takeda to encounter you. Such good fortune. Yahiko paused, then said solemnly, Yuto-kun, I would like you to deliver a letter to one of the Sanin in Konoha.